Hi, Mark. Here it is Thursday, November the 6th, going on 9:30 a.m. Eastern. US session now underway. Let's have a look at the US dollar's performance today. Red candlestick first. Red candlestick we've seen in the past 6 days. US dollars sold off this morning on the index. I've got resistance 99.92 and I've got support at 99.58. You can see a wick left behind here. US dollar is trying to fight its way back now that the US session uh, gets into its full stride. We'll see whether that can be maintained and the US dollar can get back to test and break above this resistance level, or if we see a continuation of what we saw during the Asian and European sessions, with the US dollar index being sold off and some kind of a retracement. Let's have a look at the majors and see how they're faring. The first major being the Euro US dollar. There you see green candlestick buying euro, selling US dollar. So weak US dollar to through the Asian European going into the US session. I've got support at 114.93. I've got resistance at 115.41. We'll see whether this can be maintained. Buying euro against US, if there's going to be a turnaround from weak US dollar this morning to strong US dollar during the US session, sellers will be looking down at the support here at the 114.93. Let's have a look at the pound. Similar pattern. Started the rebound yesterday, the pound against the US, continuing today. I've got support at 130.50 and I've got resistance at 131.25. But you can, again, you can see the wick left behind here. That would be selling pound and buying US, US fighting its way back today. And there you see it happening in this hour. We'll see whether sellers can maintain, sellers of pound, buyers of US. If the US fight back continues, we're looking down at support. If it's a continuation of buying pound, selling US dollar, and US dollar weakness does continue through the US session, we'll be looking up at the resistance level. US yen. Here you can see the red candlestick that's selling US buying yen again, US weakness against the yen. I've got resistance at 154.13. I've got support at 153.35. Almost tested that support level. Bit of a fight back here from the US. Again, let's just zoom in and see. There you can see the attempted fight back by the US going on right now, but overall, certainly dollar weakness against the yen, and the yen is and has fought back against a strong US dollar. US dollar against the Canadian. There you can see US dollar maintaining against the Canadian. Canadian not able to fight back. The other majors all have fought back today against the US. Not so much the Canadian. Little wick over here, but US dollar already a green candlestick here and higher than currently sitting higher than the open. I've got support at 140.90 140.90 underneath the 141. And I'm going to move it up. It's a little bit higher right now. And I've got resistance sitting here at 141.11. There you can see it, just over the 141 level. Buyers of US, if the US is going to be seen strengthening against the majors now in the past hour as the US session gets underway, buyers of US will be looking up at the 141.39 resistance level. sellers of US, buyers of Canadian, looking down at this 140.90. But Canadian hasn't put up much of a fight at all against the US, weak against the US dollar. So we'll look for buyers to look up to this resistance level. So we have seen a turnaround overall today. We saw it in the index, we saw it in the majors, where US dollar has given up those some of those gains we've seen over the last few days. Weakness on the index, weakness against the majors. Um, we'll see whether that can continue. We've got resistance, support levels to work with, whether we see US fight back or whether we see continued US weakness through the rest of the day. Good trading, keep that discipline, and I'll see you at the end of day.